everybody, thank you so much for joining me and happy full moon coming. Before I play this video, I just wanted to share that I have just completed the 2024 predictive book, and yes, it has everything in it. It has predictions for all signs for the year. Also, it has the themes for the year. It has the structure of the year. It has every month broken down with predictions for every sign for each month, as well as astrological aspects for every month. That means all the moons and alignments and everything, all that fancy stuff that happens. So this is a channel book and as a good guide for the coming year ahead. And if you're familiar with my books, this is the 8th book of its kind. I've been making these almanacs for now 8 years, so if you'd like, have a look. And below is a link to where you can find a digital or indeed a physical version of this very book. Thank you so much. Happy full moon coming on the 27th of November 2023. Right now is just one day after the new moon. It is only the 14th of November. Doing this reading a little early for you and thinking of you during these times and how to put things together. So the full moon, what is it about? Well, it is next to Sedna, very close to retrograde Sedna. It would have passed Jupiter and Uranus both in retrograde. And yes, we also have retrograde Chiron, retrograde North Node and South Node respectively, retrograde Eris, retrograde Neptune as well. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit karmic and a little bit hefty as to what is happening. So for example, if you were wondering how much you were going to be charged for that service, or if you were wondering what you're going to do next, some people are going to have some heavy times and there's going to be some heavy loading, and for sure where there's Sedna, there is a disability or there is a vulnerability. There could be something very vulnerable about you, about your loved ones, about your here and now. There could be many vulnerable potentials, or there could be a very, very vulnerable journey to be taken. So it's not really a time to be taken lightly. Although we are in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius basically goes, look, you got to just pack your bag and go. Or like, look, here's how. So Sagittarius during this particular month is going to be very, very smart, very, very diligent. It's going to be asking you how to upgrade very quickly. It's going to be asking you to do things very fast, and it is going to be a little bit annoying because a lot of these energies and decisions are going to be made very brashly and very certainly. So it's a very quick cut, and sometimes I think that is going to maybe matter later to the person or the persons that are initiating people this month around. There is an initiator's energy going on. So if you've been that person that wanted to have a big talk to that person, to have a big extreme situation, if you enjoy telling people off, if you enjoy pushing people like a boss or like a teacher, please be careful with this, because on either end there is a heftiness, like a hefty fine or a heavy load. There's a danger of putting the feet wrong, putting a foot wrong. There's definitely also criminal activity, as next month is going to be quite big for criminals. And there is also like a certain type of amount of questions being taken very, very politely, but yet very seriously during this month around. And I think that quite a lot of you have to be very, very open at the same time as very, very careful about what this risky time, risky business means for you. So of course this moon is going to eventually land up in Gemini, but it is kind of almost on the cusp. And on the other side, we do have Sun, Ceres, and Mars conjunction. Having a conjunction, my gosh, between Mars, Ceres, and the Sun, it's like we really want you to know now what it takes to win. We really want you to get yourself there. We really want you to work things out. It's like people want to initiate you and maybe sometimes power play each other to be able to get the best result. This is where you get a big telling off from the boss, or this is where you get a raise, but you know, like also how far you've come to be able to afford that. Like there is quite a big phenomenalizing energy also during this time. There is a lot of disease and depression, and some people really have to give it all up or give it all back to be able to afford these big karmic, slightly, yeah, sure, enlightened changes, but they're quite impressive changes that one needs to consider during this time. It's not just like, yeah, well, I lived a life on this level, now I'm gonna live it on this level. It's just about like dropping all the weight and then like trying to hook yourself up to something much higher. And yeah, we are coming up to a dragon year, and people are sometimes ready to risk everything to get to that next level, to that next opportunity, to have a better place in the world. And some of us are not ready yet. And there are lots of us asking, well, didn't we have it pretty good way back there? So behind the moon there's Jupiter. Didn't we have it kind of good when we were like at grade school? Didn't we have it kind of good at university? Didn't we have it just kind of good like last year? And that also pays. That's also a big question. Should you just go backwards? And some of us definitely would. And it's not necessarily about making friends again all over again, trying to go back to the city that you're from, staying at your mom's or grandmother's house. It's not necessarily like that, although for some people it can actually literally be that. It's just more important to face it. What is the story that I'm living? Should I be jumping hoops for this? Am I really fit or strong enough to do this? And am I really meant for this kind of fairy tale? There are lots of bigger than life fairy tales. Some people are wanting us to do crazy things. Some people want us to extend way further than we're able to. And also some parts of us are ready. It's like, I want to compete in the Olympics. It's like, I want to be number one. I want to be the first. I want to be the best. I want to be in the midst. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what it takes. I want it today. I want it now. So these very racy dreams and very also kind of sentimental and sensitive spaces may sometimes be in the realm of dream only, and they might be behind closed doors only. So somebody's planning a great escape, or somebody's planning a very, very big uprising. People are helping each other clean up and change their lives. There are lots of us still looking out for each other, even though it's maybe even wrong to do that now. It's just important to be able to base yourself in one place, I think, at the end of it all, and say, yeah, okay, at the end of it all, I'm still quite happy with what I've got. But for this type of alignment, enough is never enough. It's hard. So it's like, I've claimed the gold medal, now I need another 3 or 4 gold medals to be able to say that I've made it, So like some people are like, well, I know that I can be quite happy here, but actually I would like to be over there. So there's people asking for way more than they can afford or even than they deserve. And then there's lots of us also asking or wondering, what for? Did I ever put myself in here? Did I ever put myself in there? So there is this sort of very clunky, metallic kind of like rocket spaceship feeling, like things are just getting sort of put together. Now here you are. It's like, now you're going to university, or like, now you're going to go and compete in the Olympics. There's like a very big hookup happening during these times. And people are going to notice it. It's like, whoa, whoa, wait, I did it. But then at the same time, do I like this place? Do I like this feeling? So I suppose like the crazy thing is that most people in the world, if they are run by a certain system of perception and concepts, they would probably rather evolve very quickly and like smack bang life into place and try to kind of power play their concepts into the next idea than to wait and have a look at what is happening around them and maybe take a step back and have lighter footing. I'm all for lighter footing, but then at the same time, I understand that not everybody lives in my neck of the woods, and not everybody necessarily needs to do what I'm doing. But I do definitely get it that some people don't necessarily want to have these big concepts destroyed. They don't like to say no to an idea. They don't want to imagine that they're going backwards. So, like the warriors, the Vikings out there, the people, not necessarily Vikings, just like people that are very, very forceful and very trembling with desire or trembling with passion or feelings. We do have Psyche also in Sagittarius, people wishing that they have done it ages ago. they're wishing that they did this like since they were young. There are certain people saying, look, it's either my way or the highway, or it's either gonna be today or never, you know, and come what may, I'm going to still hook up to this grand big idea, and I'm still going to make it relevant, you know, I'm still going to try, you know. So people like even later in years, like in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, wanting to be a competitor, it's really hard for me to see. That's hard for me to see. I also understand that there is quite a lot of good in there, and there's quite a lot of willpower needed, and quite a lot of brawn. And then later on in life, I'm not sure how that's going to land. You know, so here's me kind of yawning it all away for you guys, because we do have Pallas, Humia, Sappho, Venus next to the South Node. So what can I say? Pallas the righteous, Humia the child, Sappho the poet, and Venus the beautiful next to the South Node. So it's kind of like, well, you know, guys, I kind of already did it before. I've already kind of done it ages ago. I don't mind taking a step back. I don't really care. Like some of the finest things in life, some of the most beautifully spoken people, some of the most maybe beautifully dressed people, some of the greatest brands, design, or logic might come from a very, very kind of humble place. It's like, yeah, well, this is something I've been working on for the last year, and I guess it's old news now. It is old news now. And it's fine. I'm fine that it is old news now. And I'm just going to let it settle. So, this is where people have accumulations, and it is very, very humbling, maybe for others that are still trying to get there. Like, I'm not there yet. I didn't touch that I didn't cross that Rubicon. I haven't yet established myself. And a lot of people are crying over spilled milk as well, I suppose. But there is like a very, very big identity crisis and a sense of destiny for quite a lot of us, and wanting or needing to be somewhere or wishing to become a breathtaking person, la di da di da. So, like, let's look. So, firstly, South Node has this beautiful stellium of hope giving asteroids and planets, firstly. Secondly, North Node has Eris, confidence, and Chiron, the wounded healer, next to it, and they are all in retrograde. So, I mean, it's like confidence in retrograde, expertise, Chiron, also expertise, and retrograde. Second guessing yourself, second guessing your luck, second guessing your timing. And then we do have Saturn also balancing out this opposition between, I suppose, Sedna and Mars, or I would even say the moon and the sun, you know. So Saturn is very, very grand and great. And the question that I've also been asking myself for the last few months is, did you really want this? Do you need this? Do you need this? It's really, really like quiet space. Very like suddenly all this fire goes into complete introspection. Total introspection. It's like, well, yeah, well, this is great. Yeah, you can get, like, for example, plastic surgery, you can move countries, you can go out of town, you can make changes in your life. Oh, but you can also ask yourself this very simple question. Form follows function in the rabbit year. And Saturn here is only in the first degrees of Pisces again. And he's direct, he's not retrograde. He's kind of asking you, it's kind of like he's wearing thin. He's tired now. He's kind of like, well, do you guys really want to make this such a big deal? And then I think some people will be like, yes, or they will be like, well, actually, no. So it's very, very easy when you think about it. Usually, Sagittarian time gives us a clarity anyway. And Gemini moon is about clarity, and it's also about vulnerability. Gemini moon is kind of like something made out of porcelain or glass or crystal or something like that. It's very, very shy in some ways, and it's incredibly beautiful. It's like that dream or that sensitivity is incredibly touching and beautiful to the point where it is beyond this life, you know. So like some concepts are so grand and so kind of also slightly passive or pessimistic that they are almost like above the moon itself, you know. They're kind of like walking in the clouds somewhere. But then the Saturn is very, very kind and hopeful and healing, and he just basically says, look, do you guys really want this or what? Like, how come, you know? And that fire should eventually cease. is it must be kind of, getting there. Maybe time is getting on, and a lot of us need to understand what it is just like too late, or the time has come to be somewhere else. And I do definitely understand that some people feel that they should have done something years ago. It's like, I could have been a great singer, but now I'm 52 and I don't have any friends and I don't really want to risk it. Or like, I should have been a ballet dancer, now I'm 70 and I guess I'm going to start a TikTok account and I'm going to inspire people with my dreams. So like, there's lots of this kind of happening, and it is kind of like that. I've already kind of been mentioned this way before. I've already been asked to produce this before, and I never really fully taken the bait, or I never really took the chance or took the step. And now it's like all of these overdue steps, so it's too late. A lot of it is kind of like, it's too late. And the drama now is quite big for some people because they really feel it. It's like, that's my girl and she's going off with another guy. It's like, yeah, that's very much too late. Or like, wow, that's my money. I should have made this ages ago. I should have done this ages ago. Look at this person with my concept out there. It's like, it's too late. So basically, it doesn't have to be frustrating. It doesn't have to be egoic. It doesn't have to be about jumping hoops and shoving people about and trying to get in line, trying to squeeze your employees into doing the best they can. Power playing anything or anybody. Power play, well, power play is bad. This time around, slapping somebody over just because they didn't do a good enough job. If your, for example, business depends on them doing a good job and they're still a little bit lazy or a little bit karmic for you as an employee, slapping someone around lasts and lasts and lasts. And also, I suppose, things are going to get long. And this is already happening now. Like, I'm experiencing already this in November, like mid-November. Things are going to get long. What I mean is, like, for example, if you go out there and you make a fool of yourself, it's going to be a long time until people forget that you've done it. If you make believe and you cherish a story that is not necessarily right for you, or that is right for you, this is going to be a long time. This is like a long-term commitment. Some of it is very long-haul plans and changes. Some people are going to have to do something for ages to make it work. Some people are going to have to produce things over and over and over again to make them real. Some people are going to have to stand there in line waiting for an answer. Some people are going to not get what they want for ages. For example, right now, booking something or dealing with cash, like say, for example, ordering something. Not all people are going to experience it, but it's just going to take ages. It's going to take ages to arrive, or it might last you a very long time. So right now, buying something might last you for a really long time and can even stay in your family for ages. Thinking about things can be a long haul thing, so also getting into grooves. And this is also kind of the magic of this time at the moment, having long-term social or personal cause and effect with some things that are happening right now, but also this is kind of hard and it's kind of brutal. And I did say this is a very crystalline moon in Gemini, so it's hard to break free from certain patterns, from certain arguments. It is a difficult feeling. It's difficult to be this kind of being. It is like immortal, as it is also incredibly putrid or unkind. There's like something that's very climatic happening right now, something that is not very innocent at the same time as having all this hope and all these dreams. And basically what I'm telling you guys is to just relax and have a look around. Yeah, like, why don't we just relax? So, Venus South Node, some things are already, yeah, like, look at it. Some things are already, how can I say, they've been there for such a long time. You've already gotten used to it. And it's kind of golden. This is where you're like sitting with your loved one, looking over the landscape. It's a beautiful time to just regress. which is where basically the moon close to Sedna is the most beautiful in Gemini, because it is very, very difficult to really see things for what they are unless you have a day like, just a second, just like have your little cup of tea, I made this mug, by the way. It's crazy. It is crazy. It's not how it was meant to be. It has an alternative handle. I just wanted to share it just randomly. It's crazy. And once again. Okay, so what can I say? Okay, this is about resonance. Gemini is about being resonant, and also about having something of resonance that you keep or that you speak. And some fighting, some dealings, some decision making should have already been done, and it should now be over. I mean, if you can remember, I was saying that the rabbit here is about organization and having things just so. And now you're basically reaping the fruit of quite a lot of what you might have said and done during rabbit year. So just about being not after anything anymore. It's not about being psychotic about missing the point. It's not about being intense about tiny incriminating details. It's more just about like the yesteryear and the passing by. South Node, as I said, once again next to Venus, letting it, like allowing it. Also Jupiter being in the sign before the moon, so it's kind of just like, well, actually I had it pretty good last year. And maybe sometimes it is nice for revivals. It is nice to make things that you already know how to make. It is nice to do things that you already know how to do. But once again, Mars next to the Sun cannot handle it when there is a chance. I can't handle there's a chance. There's a chance. I know there's a chance. So now you got this kind of like very, very interesting play, also North Node next to Chiron Eris, like I want this, I want this, I want this, it makes no real difference what you do. I think in some ways a lot of this will end right, but like certain people are still going to drive things to an extreme. And if you are noticing now that you have your work cut out for you, if you've gotten to the extremist level of yourself and you are trying so hard, you're hyperventilating when you're talking or thinking, you're feeling so much worth in something that has gone by or something that you still haven't got. And if you're competitive and you're still competing with something or somebody that has nothing to give you sometimes, this is like picking a fight with no real interest and gain as well. It's not actually sometimes necessarily about getting a result. Sometimes it's just knowing that you've done it. It's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna trust this feeling. Well, it's actually not that bad as well, but it just doesn't mean anything eventually more than it does today. So like what I'm seeing is, this is kind of the joke, it swivels around, energy is pushed around, but eventually it's kind of left to settle and it just comes back to where it was. It's like, if you can imagine, you have like a drink with lots of spices or lots of I don't know, solids inside the drink, and you kind of stir the drink, but then eventually, like if you wait for a little bit, like the solids are gonna settle where they were once again. So it's kind of like the solids, like gravity. Simple. Gravity is going to take its toll, and things are going to settle exactly probably as they are or very similar. So yeah, not everybody is going to see this grand big prize that is promised to them, but some people definitely can generate an idea or a frequency that is way beyond the norm. So this is for the highly competitive people during this time. So there is something that can happen. Sometimes you destroy a previous life model to make a new life model. And I do understand that Dragon Year is coming soon, so people are like, I want everything at once, or I want nothing at all. It's all or nothing. And people are getting very, very wild also results. But if you were a little bit more compassionate to yourself and also other beings in the story, you'll actually find out that it doesn't make any sense, or it doesn't make no difference. So eventually things basically are like a cloud, like they just like change form and the clouds fade out or new clouds come. It's actually very easy. It's kind of just like watching the sky. There's nobody that can also probably damage you on a level that you have kind of managed yourself so far. So what I mean is, like, sometimes, like, say you've claimed yourself something and nobody can take it away from you, you know. Maybe you've managed yourself in such a way that you are, in a way, not not able to be touched, like you're untouchable, and nobody can really mess with your plans. If you sit down, if you're really honest with yourself, like, there's probably one or two things that are very, very high quantic things that you have going on in your life, and nobody can place you any lower than that. It's like you've claimed a certain space in the world, and nobody can destroy it now. Like, nothing is gonna come and destroy it, you know. So that's a nice feeling. That's a nice sense of certainty. I've claimed myself a prize, or I claimed myself a gift, and here you stopped being like a runner for somebody else. This is where you stop, like, huffing and puffing like a puppy, trying to, you know, catch up, trying to grab at your own tail, basically. In some people's cases, not in everybody's, but most people's situations, just running around chasing your own tail. You now have to start to feel extraordinary about the simple, maybe previous concepts that have actually worked out and have been worked out for a long time, and just kind of like gain momentum or sensitivity and start to maybe risk it in other ways. Yeah, I understand how people might still want to use that choice, chance, or risk during this time. Some of the people maybe that are smart enough will just help each other along. They'll give something to each other or try to teach somebody something very, very, very mildly and very happily. And some people might actually just suddenly see no wrong in their dream and not need it, that which is gleaming somewhere on the outside. But this is where marketing and modern day sales pitches really work. For a limited time only. You know, this person's only coming to your town for like 2 months, or this is only going to be available for 5 weeks, or, you know, call now, you know, it's like you have to do it now or you won't get it, you know. So there is a very, very dreamy and emotionally demanding time. And for quite a lot of people, there's also an ending, a sense of destitute, should they not allow that next wave to be now, now, now. So this is kind of depending how padded up and how happy you are with your psyche. So people that have very distraught psyche are very easy to win over with fast, high-flying results. It's like, look, 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 like, buy this eyeshadow. This will make your eyelashes 3 times longer than they really are. Or like, here, like, buy this thing and this works like this and like that. This is cutting edge technology. This has been designed just yesterday. Come on, you guys. So like this fast sale and the need to make it through quick, the need to make it through the window quick, may not necessarily work. And I also understand that a lot of people maybe don't like me for it, and I get it. But there is a need to be, I'm going to say it again, that word, oh my God, safe. We also have Sedna next to the moon, sorry. Safe, better safe than sorry, and it's also just about having tact and a certain type of slow process to be able to resolve things and maybe solve them once and for all. So instead of jumping out of your current life into the next future and being very, very demanding as to what life has to give you today, I'm trying to basically sort it out here and now. I'm trying to basically regress back into the now, the here and now, and make the moves very slowly. And I do get it that some people will say, look, I'm not going to get anything done if I go slow. I get that. The slower you go, sometimes the better quality or the better sustenance you receive. Is just about having a slow, potent, and I suppose respectful process with life. And life understands you, like everything gets you. Having to slow down. Slowing down is not just about learning and it's not just about teaching. It's more than that. It's more about the obvious being given and the helpful hands or the helpful energies coming to you without you having to push about and without you having to scream later. It's not about screaming for help. It's not about wondering where help is going to come from. It's not about being somehow also inappropriate or malfunctioning in a story and then somebody or something having to rush to your aid. It's not about rushing. It's not about that syndrome people have sometimes of being the one and being the attention of everybody. It's a very kind of gross time to ask for attention. We are very premature for attention also, as I'm starting to really find that out in my own space as well. Being very, very needy of people or their concepts, being very, very obsessive about, like, say, university degrees and getting something more than another person is getting today is going to set you back, but it is going to also, in a way, set you free. So, yeah, in a sense, yeah. Also, I do get it. Some people don't don't want me to help them here. They just are like, okay, look, I'm gonna go like with the Mars Sun, and that's it. That's all I see. Sun next to Mars. It means I got this. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna jump high. I'm gonna do this. And I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. Like, this is not maybe necessary for some people, but I'm gonna say, when we unrabbit, it is all about safety and it's all about support. It's all about being caring and kind, making sure you have no holes, like you got no gaps where there shouldn't be, making sure that things stand a chance, making sure that your foundations are very clear and that your life is beautiful. And yeah, sure, it's kind of passive, but it has a certain type of hold on you because of its perfection and intimacy. Intimacy is what rabbit here is about. And then, yeah, there is going to be a grand giant mountain, a huge sky coming, and dragon year, yeah, is gonna be giant. Like, some people are just gonna be like, who are they? They're just gonna be just running and jumping and skipping and flying and zooming through the sky. There's gonna be some really, really erratic, also incredibly unfortunate and embarrassing human behavior coming up in 2024. But like, the better chance of surviving that terrain, is through feeding yourself now, is through getting healthy, through packing your suitcase or packing your toolkit full of the best things, being very careful, looking at things. This moon is very good for observation, looking at things, seeing how things are, seeing the realness of everything. If you're very, very connected, if you're conscious, you might be very, very aware of who is who in the situation and how things are and how things work. It's a very obvious moon for vision and observation. It's just important not to let this Mars get the better of you, and it is nice to just really get crisp on the details, get crisp on the results, and then inevitably, eventually, come what may, try to maybe, in a way, well, bleach out whatever's not working. Maybe like some things are like not very well padded. If you can imagine, like, I'm like seeing like how people work with, for example, animal skins, like how the Native Americans would work with animal skins and, like make sure that everything's fine, that everything's brushed, and, on either side everything's good. So it's kind of like looking at things. It's a detail-based work. Jupiter also, yeah, a retrograde there. I mean, it's details. It's just about the fine brush. It's about making sure that things stand the test of time. It's about making sure that you're providing people with a good quality product. It's about making sense. It's about quality control, yeah, sure. It's about understanding where the problem is and then knowing that you do have the tools to fix that problem. So if you can imagine, Mars in a way is like a tiny instrument. It's like a pen or it's like a little knife, and it can break things through and break things free. Also, Chiron is kind of like that as well, next to the North Node. So in a sense, it's more just about, it's important to get things free of issues. So this is like surgery. This is like breaking something out of something else. This is like, sure, it's also about parting ways, and it is also about being in the next dimension, but it's like a small cutting, if you can imagine, like something stuck in the web, and you're basically cutting the web so that something can be unstuck. So this is a gradual, sort of even leisurely way, or like even a tired, long haul way of making sure that things work, like working with the fascia tissues, sure, if you want to, like working with the breath or working with yoga or anything. Sure, of course, yeah, like going into other dimensions, like imagining things, or I don't know, psychedelics, if people need to do that, okay, sure. But there's like a very, very clever way out. So this is about slowly picking yourself out of one thing and putting yourself into another. This is a very, very interesting. So this is like beads on a string, like putting beads on a string. This is about careful day-to-day work. Also, I suppose the moon and Gemini, it can't be that important. It's not that wholesome, it's not that healing, it's not that feeding, it's not for necessarily a long time healthy. So like in terms of people also with Gemini moons, sometimes things are not important to them or with them. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that the moon in Gemini doesn't necessarily promise you a grand, big final success. It is not necessarily a bad moon, but it is slightly weaker. As I said before, it's kind of like made of glass or porcelain. It doesn't necessarily define that which you have, and it won't necessarily give you that to claim later. So if you're looking for a meaty big sum of money, if you're looking for grandeur, if you're looking for like finally making it in the movie industry or something like that, it's just it's fine to try. It's just not going to necessarily give it so lightly. If you want, there are greater, more fertile and more abundant moons, so like say a full moon in Cancer would be much grander, much healthier, much heavier, and more abundant. Like, for example, a moon in Pisces would be much more lush and much more soft and much more giving. So if you are thinking about fertility, like fertility-based moons that provide and give and give and give and give and give, because some people are just hungry, and we do have Ceres next to Sun, Mars. What will give me that? What will give me this? Or what should I give this to? It's more important to basically try to space this out and eventually look for a more lush and more fertile time to give your energy and courage to something so grand. So just if you want, you can follow me on this. Just retract your energy from that which you're feeding that you don't need to be feeding. So reimburse your aura. You don't have to spend it all at once. Sure, it is a time for spending for some people. Give your money away only if you really have to, or if it is very necessary what you're doing, and be safe. Like, once again, try to be safe, stick it out. And yes, of course, my advice is going to change. It's going to be nothing but huff and puff and, adventures and big monstrous results in the next couple of years. But that's not going to be today. That's not going to be right now. So basically, yes, I will also help you guys navigate if you want to do something really outlandish eventually in the next couple of years to come, if you really see yourself as much bigger than the dream that you're living. But that's not going to be yet, even if the Mars is next to the Sun. So thank you very much, enjoy, and I will see you next time. And yes, there is stuff in the caption section below. Thank you. Bye.